So let's do this. So for number one, I'm going to factor this. I can't do big X because it starts with a 2. So remember, before you do anything, maybe what you can do is take out a common factor. So think, you have 2, 14, 24. What is the greatest common factor I can take out? 2. Okay, so I'm going to put this right here just so I have some room. Okay, so I can take out a 2, and then I have a bunch of things that I'm factoring out, right? So if I take out a 2, then do you see how when I divide, because I'm factoring here, like this first term, 2 divided by 2 is 1, so I just have an x squared left over. And then I have a plus. 14 divided by 2 is 7, so I write a 7x. And then I write a plus. 24 divided by 2 is 12. Oh, look. So now I factored out the 2. Now do you see how your problem starts with a 1x squared? So as soon as your problem starts with a 1x squared, boom, you can do big X. So what number can I put on top? 12. On the bottom, 7. Okay, what are the two numbers? 4 and 3, 3 and 4. It doesn't matter what order you put it, right? 4 times 3 is 12. 4 plus 3 is 7. So let me rewrite that. It would be x plus 4, x plus 3. Don't forget though, since you factored out the 2, you have to just drag it down. So like, don't forget about that. That's still part of your answer. Boom, I'm done. This is the easiest of the complicated problems. So remember, if your problem doesn't start with a 1x squared, see if you can factor out anything. Sometimes you can and you get lucky, and sometimes you can't. So like for number 2, you can't. It's going to get a little bit more difficult, okay? So for number 2, first of all, can't do big X when I factor because it starts with a 3. So I got to get rid of this. So if I do this, 3, 11, 10, can I take out any common factors? No. So if I can't take out any common factors, I can't factor out a number. So we're going to do this thing called magic numbers. It literally is magic, okay? We teach you this trick, but if you were taking algebra in high school, they don't teach you this trick, and they teach you like the old person way how to do it, like the way that I learned how to do it, and it is literally the worst thing ever. And the reason why they teach you the old person way is because it's kind of similar to another way we're going to factor in a couple of days. And so they're like, oh, look, they're kind of the same instead of teaching you something new. But I feel like this trick, honestly, is so much better. Okay, but anyways, magic numbers means you take the first number and you multiply it to become the last number. Okay, so my new problem, I'm going to just write right here, is going to be x squared, right? It's no longer 3x squared because I took the 3 and I moved it. So x squared plus 11x plus, okay, not 10, because I'm going to multiply. So 3 times 10 is 30. Okay. Oh, look, now I have a 1x squared, so now I can do the big X. So on top I have 30, on the bottom I have 11. What are the two numbers? 6 and 5, 5 and 6, doesn't matter the order. So I have x plus 6, x plus 5, but I'm not done yet. Does anyone remember what did I have to do next? Read what I have to do.
You divide it by 3, right?
Yeah. Okay. So do you see how like I changed my problem entirely? If you change it, you can't just say that that's your answer. Since you changed your problem by multiplying by 3, before you get your final answer, you have to undo your change and divide by 3. Like undo that trick. You can't just multiply by a random number just because you feel like it. So if you're going to do that, undo it. So then left over, then I have x plus 6 by 3 is 2. And then this one, it's 5/3. That's not a whole number. 5 divided by 3 is not a whole number. So when I simplify that on my calculator, 5/3, oh, it's just 5/3. Okay, so the last thing you need to know then is I can never write my answer as a fraction. So if I have a fraction that can't be simplified to a whole number, the denominator just pops in the front. Does anyone remember that from yesterday? So how do I actually write that? Owen?
3x plus 5.
Okay, 3x plus 5. So that's my answer. Now, some of you might be like, how do I double check my answer? Just FOIL it. If you multiply it out, you should get your original problem. If you multiply this out, you should get your original problem. Okay. Let's do this one. I'm going to do this down here. Okay, and then for number 4, I'll just like fold up my paper so it'll be on the back. So it's okay. You'll have plenty of room. Okay. All right, so number 3. First thing you do is say, okay, factor. Big X means factor. Wait, it starts with a 2, so I can't do big X yet. So first thing you think is, can I take out a common number? 2, 7, 4. Can I take out a number? No. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this thing called magic numbers. Take the first number and multiply it to my last number. So rewrite your problem. I have x squared minus 7x minus 8, right? Because 2 times 4 is 8. Don't worry that we're not leaving room for number 4. Okay, it'll be fine. Okay, now it starts with the 1. Yay, now that it starts with the 1, I can do big X. Negative 8 on top, negative 7 on the bottom. What are the two numbers? Negative 8, positive 1, right? Negative 8 times positive 1 is negative 8. Negative 8 plus 1 is negative 7. So let's rewrite it. I have x minus 8, x plus 1. Am I done? No, because remember, since I did magic numbers, since I multiplied by 2, I have to undo that now. So undoing that means I have to divide both of them by 2. Okay, so then I have x minus 8 divided by 2 is 4. And then here, 1 divided by 2 is not a whole number. It's just 1/2. So how do I actually write that then? 2x plus 1, right? The bottom, remember what we said the rule was? The bottom denominator just pops up in front. So it would be 2x plus 1. By the way, totally random, not like even related to this, but I do have your MAP scores back. And so some of you wanted to know your scores, and I can't like, MAP scores, I can't tell you like, oh, you got an 80, you got a 90, you got 100. Like they don't test or they don't do MAP scores like that. Your grade is a percentile. So I don't know if you guys even understand what percentiles mean, but if I were to say your grade is in the 70th percentile, that's pretty good. That means that in the state of Texas, of all algebra kids, only 30% of the kids did better than you because you were in the 70th percent. Does that make sense? So if I said your grade was in like the 99th percentile, some of you were in the 99th percentile, you were that amazing. That means if of every single algebra kid in the state of Texas, only 1% of the kids got a grade higher than you. Okay, so now that I finally have your scores back, if you're interested, online kids, send me an email and I'll just give you your percentile, or in-person kids, if you want to know, I can tell you in class. I can tell you what your percentile is and you can figure out like how many percentages of kids were better than you. And so honestly, the average for this class was like 80. You guys were all in around the 80th percentile, which is pretty good, but it's also pretty average because you guys are in middle school and you're taking algebra and this is pre-AP. So you guys are already at like a higher level just because you're just that good. You wouldn't be in this class if you were in like the 20th percentile, right? Yes, Jeff?
Did Cooper get the 99th?
I don't remember, actually. I don't remember because I looked at it like 2 days ago. So
Would you get that then? Be quiet.
no comment. All right. Anyways, so let's move on. So for number 4, since we don't have room, why don't you take the bottom and why don't you just fold it up? So we have some room now on the back. Okay. So for number 4, now this is honestly not yet even the hardest. The hardest will be in your level work. Okay. So do you see how, okay, can't do big X because it starts with a -3. So first of all, can I take out any common numbers? No. But I don't do big or magic numbers. Grayson, do you remember what I have to do?
Multiply everything by -1.
Okay, yeah. So guys, here's the rule. And I kind of talked about it last week, but you probably don't remember. Remember how I said if your problem starts with a negative, that's not okay. So what Grayson is saying to do is, even though I can't take out a common number, you can take out a -1. You have to take out a -1. Okay. The reason why I take out a negative is because none of this factoring stuff will work if you have a negative in your first term. So now that I've taken out a -1, all these symbols flip. I have a positive 3x squared, then a plus 4x, and then a -7. Okay. Now I can think, all right, so I took out a -1. Here's my new problem. Now what do I do? So do the magic numbers thing. So take the first term and multiply it by the last. I know I have to do that because I can't do big X yet. I only do big X because, right, when this starts with a 1. Okay, so rewrite my problem. Don't forget you had a -1 out there still. Like a lot of kids like forget that you took out something and so then you just forget to leave that in your answer and then your answer becomes wrong. So I had x squared plus 4x minus 21, right? Because 7 times 3 is 21. Okay, oh look, now I have a 1 in front. So now I can do big X. Negative 21, positive 4. What are those two numbers?
7 and -3.
7 and -3. Some of you are like super quick because you know your math facts, and some of you have not so great math facts. You don't remember like your multiplication tables. So it'll take you a while, but that's why you have a calculator. Okay. All right. So let's rewrite this. Remember, the -1 is still there. Don't forget about the -1. So I have x plus 7, x minus 3. Am I done? No. What do I do now? Divide by 3, right? I'm not done yet. I can't box it in because since I multiplied by 3, I have to undo it and divide by 3. So 7 divided by 3. I'm not quite sure if that equals a whole number, so I'm going to type that in my calculator. Oh, no, it's not. It's 7/3. Okay, so remember how we said the bottom pops over to the top? So what is that actually? 3x plus 7. And then this one, 3 divided by 3 is just 1, so it's just x minus 1. And remember, you can always double check your answers by just multiplying it out, and then you're good. Okay, so I have a quick question for you because we always forget. If I wanted to double check my answer, if I wanted to, I know I have to distribute the -1 first, but should I distribute it to all of them or just the first group of parentheses? Just the first group. Remember, when you're multiplying, you only distribute to the first group of parentheses, and then you FOIL it. Okay, and a lot of us still forget that, so I just want to remind you. Okay, last one, number 5. This one will look exactly like one of the questions on your level work. Okay, so make sure you understand how to do this. Maybe like definitely write it down because it will look exactly like your level work, okay? And I'm not going to go over that question on your level work. All right, the length of a rectangular state park. Don't know what that looks like, so draw a picture. It's a rectangular, so I'm going to draw a rectangle. The length of a rectangular state park is 2 miles longer than twice the width. Okay. I don't know the width. It doesn't say the width. So if I don't know the width, what do I write? X. Okay. So the length is 2 longer. So think if that's like a plus, minus, multiply, divide. 2 longer than twice X. Does anyone think they know how to write that? Owen?
2x.
But 2 longer than twice the width.
2x plus 2.
Thank you. Right? Because you still have that 2 longer part. So 2x plus 2. Okay. The area is 84. What is the width? Basically, what is x? Solve for x. Okay. So kind of like what we did yesterday on the back of our video or level work, let's set it up. So they wouldn't give you an area if they don't want you to use an area formula, right? And for a rectangle, we learned in like 2nd grade, the area of a rectangle is length times width. So the area is 84 equals length, which is 2x plus 2 times width, which is just x. Okay. What do you guys think is the first thing I should do? Read.
Wait, no, I changed my mind.
Okay. Vaughn? Close. Don't subtract 84 on both sides yet. I will eventually, though. Cameron? Yeah. So do you see how you have like a multiply with a number on the outside? So do that first. So I would have 84 equals 2x times x is 2x squared plus 2 times x is 2x. Okay, now do what Vaughn said, because remember, I can't factor anything until everything is on the same side. When everything is on the same side, then I'm okay. So I have 0 equals, okay, 2x squared plus 2x minus 84. Notice how it's like 84 is its own term. I'm not combining it with any of that stuff because they all have different endings. Okay, I have to solve for x. And remember we say, eek, I can't solve for x like this because there's a squared. So I have to solve for x by factoring. That's the new way, the new thing we learned in 9th grade math. So let's factor this. Can I just do big X? No, because it starts with a 2, right? I can only do big X when it starts with a 1. So should I do magic numbers? No. Some of you are like, yeah, you should. That's what we learned. Magic number only works if like you can't take any common numbers out. Do you see how you can take out a 2? So guys, let me tell you right now, if you did magic numbers with this, you would get the wrong answer because you could have taken something out first. So let's take out a 2. Because remember, first step always for factoring is see if you can take anything out. X squared plus 1x minus 42. Okay, now I see that it starts with a 1. Do I even need to do magic numbers? No, because it starts with a 1x squared, right? So I don't even need to do magic numbers. Okay, negative 42, positive 1. What are the two numbers? 7 and what? 7 and negative 6. And if you're not that quick, if your facts are not that fresh in your brain, that's okay. Use a calculator. It'll just take you 30 seconds longer. All right, so I have 0 equals 2, parentheses, right? Don't forget about that too. X plus 7, X minus 6. Okay. This is a mistake that some kids get confused with. They saw, oh, I took out a 2. Does that mean I have to divide by a 2 here? No. Okay, some kids think, oh, you like took something out. No, this is not the number you divide by. You only divide if you like actually took a number here and you multiplied it. That's why I like to do a circle with an arrow in a different color just to remind me, was there anything I have to divide by? But since I didn't do magic numbers, I don't have to. Okay, so now let's solve. Solve for x. So remember that means setting everything equal to 0. So take this, set it equal to 0. Take this, set it equal to 0. Should I take the 2 and set it equal to 0? No. Remember how I said, like last week when Mr. Elkin was here, there's no x on the outside. If I take a 2 and set it equal to 0, I'd be writing 2 equals 0. That doesn't make sense. What?
I just meant like you do it, but then you just go.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
what I
okay.
did.
Sorry. Okay, so you do it, and then you realize, oh, that doesn't make sense. Silly rabbit. You don't do that. So that just like disappears. That's not an answer. So basically, I want to tell you 0 is not an answer. Okay, so my answers are what? -7 or +6. But since this is a word problem, there's one of these that don't make sense because you can't have a negative, right? -7 doesn't make sense. You can't have a negative with in a word problem. Like in real life, that doesn't make sense. So x equals 6. Okay, that was a lot. So online kids and in-person kids. If you think like, I got this 105%, I don't need any more freaking Hans help, Thea, then if you really want to, you can leave me in the dust and you're fine, okay? But honestly, I mean, every year this happens. I feel like most of the kids are like, I'm still kind of shaky on this. So I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-ish problems with you on your level work. But if you don't care to listen because you're like, I got this, I'm going to get every single question right, then you can leave the chat if you want to right now. And then in-person kids, you can just drone me out. Okay. So this is your level work. I'm going to do some of the problems with you just to truly make sure you understand how to do this. Okay. All right. So number 1 on your level work. Let's do this. We're going to factor. Factoring. I don't do big X yet because it starts with a 5. So what's the first thing I should do? Take out a 5. GCF. First thing you ever do with factoring is see if you can take out a GCF. And you can. 5, 5, 30. There's a 5 in common. So let's take out a 5. So for sure, every single problem needs work. There's nothing you can do in your head. Okay, I've been doing this for 14 years and I still can't do it in my head just to get an answer. So left over, you see how I have dividing? So x squared minus 1x minus 6. All right, what's the next thing I do? Big X, right? It starts with a 1, so yay, I don't have to do magic numbers. If it starts with a 1, I do big X. -6, -1. What are the two numbers? So this one's always tricky. 3 times 2 is 6. Oh yeah, you're right. Sorry, it's not the tricky one. I was thinking of a different number on your video notes. That was tricky. Yeah, -3 times 2 is -6. -3 plus 2 is -1. Okay, so let's rewrite it. X minus 3, x plus 2. What did I forget? The 5. Don't forget you took out a 5, so don't forget to write that in your answer. Do I need to divide by 5? No, because I didn't do magic numbers. Am I done? Yes. Boom. This is the easiest of the hard stuff. Okay, let's do number 3. Let's get a little bit more difficult. All right, online kids, this is you now, okay? So number 3, online kids, what's the first thing I need to do?
Divide 6 off.
Okay, so basically, yeah, take out a GCF, take out 6. 6 is your biggest common factor, your greatest common factor. All right, somebody online, do you think you can write for us what's all of this stuff inside?
X squared plus 8x plus 7.
So do you see how basically Luke is just dividing 6, dividing 6, dividing 6 to get these numbers? Okay, good job. So far, so good. Online kids, what do I do next?
Big X.
Big X, right? You don't have to do magic numbers because it starts with a 1 now. So just do big X. I have 7 and I have 8. So online kids, what are the two numbers?
7 and 1.
7 times 1 is 7. 7 plus 1 is 8. So don't forget you still had the 6 out there. I have X plus 7, X plus 1. Online kids, do I have to divide these answers by 6 since I took out a 6?
No.
No, because I didn't do magic numbers. I didn't draw that loop, okay? So I am done. Boom, there we go. Any questions so far? Yes.
For GCF, do you only do GCF if you can get a GCF out of every single number?
Yes. So Owen is asking if I pull out a 6, does that mean because I can pull it out from every single term? And the answer is yes. So for example, let's look at number 4. Okay, so the next one we're going to do together is number 4. Let's pull out a GCF. That's always the first thing I do. 2, 17, and 9. Can I take out anything? No. Even like for this one, number 5, 12, 7, and 10. So Owen, I could technically take out a 2 for the first and the last one, but I can't take out a 2 here. So there's nothing I can take out here. I don't do GCF, okay? So like for number 4, I don't do GCF because there's no common number for all 3 terms. So if there's no common number, I still can't do big X because it starts with a 2. What do I do first? So multiply your first term by the last. So do this thing we call magic numbers. So guys, I'm going to circle the first term and draw an arrow to the last so that I'm reminded, okay, at the very end, don't forget, because I always forget, divide your answer by 2. So whenever I see like a big loop, I'm like, oh, don't forget that, divided by 2. Okay, so rewrite your whole problem. Can someone in person rewrite the whole problem? What does that look like? Read, go. So do you see how the only thing that changes, because it's the same exact problem, but the only thing that changes is that last term because we multiplied that. Okay, online or not, sorry, in-person kids, what do I do now? Big X, right? It starts with a 1, so now I can do big X. So negative 18, positive 17. In-person kids, what are the two numbers? 18 and negative 1. Right? 18 times negative 1 is negative 18. 18 plus negative 1 is positive 17. So I have X plus 18, X minus 1. I did it. Am I done? No. I see this big loop. That means don't forget. I have to divide by 2. I always forget. So please tell me when I forget because I legit always forget. Okay. So I have X plus 9 because 18 divided by 2 is 9. For this one, what should I write? 2x minus 1, right? And the reason why it's 2x minus 1 is because if it can't be divided into a whole number, your denominator always pops up in front. Okay, so that's a little bit complicated now. Let's do number 6. Number 6 is even more complicated, and we haven't even gotten to the hardest stuff yet. Sorry, guys. Okay. 10, 24, 8. Online kids, what's the first thing I do?
Multiply the first number by the last number.
Close. Do not multiply the first number. So before I do magic numbers, what can I do actually first? No takers? Anyone else online?
GCF?
GCF. Always see if there's a GCF, and there is. 10, 24, 8. There's a what number?
2.
2. Okay. So let's divide. Okay. I have somebody online. Tell us everything.
Uh, 5W squared plus 12W plus 4.
I'm just going to write X's. Who cares what your letters are? If you want to write W, X, whatever, that's fine. The letter honestly does not matter. It's just sometimes my like Q's look like 9s, my 6s look like B's, and I just always write X. Okay. Somebody online, what do I do now?
Magic numbers?
Yes, do you see how it starts with a 5 still? So you have to do magic numbers and rewrite your problem. So I'm going to draw this loop so I'm reminded later, oh shoot, I got to divide by 5 at the very end. So keep the 2 there, rewrite your whole problem, right? But instead of a 4 at the end, it's a 20 at the end. Now look, it starts with a 1. It starts with a 1. I can do big X, 20 and 12. Okay. Kip and Luke, thank you so much. I know you two understand everything now, but so Kip and Luke are no longer allowed to talk. Somebody else online, not Kip or Luke. What are the 2 numbers?
10 and 2.
Thank you. 10 and 2, right? 10 times 2 is 20. 10 plus 2 is 12. Okay, so let's rewrite that. So I have X plus 10, X plus 2. I'm not done yet. Somebody online, not Kip or Luke. What do I do at the very end?
Divide by 5.
Thank you. So I'm going to divide everything by 5. And so some of you get confused. Well, should I divide by 2 because I pulled out a 2? No, you divide by 5. That's the number I circled. That's the number that got multiplied. So I have 2x plus 2 because 10 divided by 5 is 2. Somebody online, how do I write this last one?
5x plus 2.
Thank you. 5x plus 2 because the bottom always just pops up to the front. Boom. I am done. Okay. Let's do something even more difficult. Let's do number 8. Okay. In-person kids, you're up. What do I do first?
You multiply 12 to 5.
Yeah, so normally I would do GCF, but you see how GCF can't do that? So magic numbers. I'm going to circle it so I'm reminded later I got to divide by 12 at the very end. So somebody in person, rewrite my new problem. What does it look like?
A squared minus 32a plus 60.
And again, I'm just writing X, but you can write whatever letter you want to. Okay, now what do I do? Big X, because it starts with a 1, so now I can do big X. Positive 60, negative 32. Oh gosh. I'm going to use my calculator because 60 is a big number. There's so many factors.
30 and 2.
Oh, 30 and 2. Are those the exact numbers I should write?
No, negative 30.
Yeah, negative 30, negative 2. Right? Negative 30 times negative 2 is positive 60. Negative 30 plus negative 2 is negative 32. Okay, X minus 30, X minus 2. Now what? Oh, divide by 12, divide by 12, divide by 12, divide by 12. Okay, divide by 12, because remember I multiplied by 12. Okay, This is the biggest mistake you guys are going to make. Do not write this down. You guys are going to be like, 30 divided by 12, that's not a whole number. So I'm going to write 12x minus 30. That is wrong, okay? Does anyone remember what I actually have to do first? Simplify. 30 over 12 can be simplified, okay? So 30 over 12 is 5 over 2. If your fraction can be simplified, you have to simplify it first, then bump the bottom over to the side, okay? If you write 12x minus 30, it's going to be wrong. When you multiply it out, you'll see when you double check your answer, it would be wrong. So it's actually x minus 5 halves, and then 2 over 12, that can be simplified too. And a good thing to kind of like tell you that is because they're all whole, like even numbers. Even numbers is definitely. What?
Oh, then
Yeah, so it's 1/6. So x minus 1/6. Okay, now I can rewrite it. So the bottom goes to the front, the bottom goes to the front. So 2x minus 5, 6x minus 1. That is my answer. So if I had written 12x minus 30 and 12x minus 2, that would definitely be the wrong answer. When I multiply it out, I would not get my original problem. Okay, let's make it even more complicated now. Number 12. First step, GCF. Is there a GCF here? No, like 15, that's an odd number. That's why 2 doesn't, 3 doesn't, and 5? No, doesn't. Okay, so should I just do magic numbers? No, I should take out negative, right? Always take out a negative. Whenever your problem starts with a negative, always take out the negative. So flip all your symbols. 20x squared minus 56x plus 15. I'm definitely not writing Q's. My Q's look like 9s. Okay. Now, online kids, not Kip, not Luke, not Ella, not Brooke. Somebody else. What do I do now? Thank you. Magic numbers. Magic numbers means take the first number multiplied by the last. Holy cow, that's going to be a huge number, but that's okay. So we have calculators. Life is good. X squared minus 56x plus 300. Let me double check on my calculator. Okay, 300. Sometimes my mental math fails me. So 300. Okay, now do you see how it starts with a 1x squared? So now I can do big X. 300 and negative 56. So that 300 is a huge number. Please use your calculator because I don't think like I don't know. So it's not like 60 and 5. Just keep dividing.
50 and negative 6.
Oh. Wait.
Yeah.
Oh, negative 50 and negative 6. Okay. So negative 50 and negative 6. If you can't, I mean, that was actually really fast. I didn't even get that fast. So good job, seriously. But use your calculator. Just divide by 2, divide by 3, divide by 4, divide by 5, divide by 6, divide by 7. Just keep on dividing, guessing and checking. So don't forget you have the negative 1. Okay, don't lose that. I have x minus 50, x minus 6. Am I done? No. Divide by 20, divide by 20. Okay, and remember, don't write 20x minus 50 because they can be simplified. I get 5 halves and I get 3/10. Okay, you have to simplify those fractions first. I get 5 halves and 3/10. Okay, now you can pop the bottoms to the front, pop the bottoms to the front. So negative 1, 2x minus 5, 10x minus 3. Okay, I promise that is as hard as it's going to get. That's why we're doing this again tomorrow. Okay, now backside. Let's take it one step farther. Now it says to solve. Solving means actually solve for x now. Well, we know how to do that. When you solve for x, you factor first, and then after you factor, you just set everything equal to 0. So just one more tiny step. I wanted to do it with you, though, just in case. All right, number 12. First step, GCF. What should I take out? Negative, right? Can I take out a number? No. It's like sometimes I can take out a negative and a 2, but I can't here. So just take out a negative, flip all your symbols. Guys, you're doing real live algebra. This is like the actual stuff, none of the baby stuff anymore. Be proud of yourself. Like you're doing it. Okay. Now what do you think? Magic numbers. Oh, notice how I just took out a negative. I didn't write -1. Same thing. Okay. Okay, magic numbers. But don't forget that negative still on the outside. X squared minus 20x plus 36. Okay, now what? Big X, because it starts with a 1, right? If it starts with a 1, now you can do big X. 36, negative 20. 36 is a small number, but 36 has a lot of factors, so it might take you a while. Anyone got it?
-18, -2.
-18, -2. Very nice. Okay, so that's x minus 18, x minus 2. Boom, done.
You should solve it.
solve.
Oh, solve, sorry. Should I set it equal to 0 now? No, not yet. What did I forget? What did I forget? Divide by 12. Don't be like me. Don't forget. Divide by 12. And remember, if your fractions can simplify, do that. 18/12 is 3 over 2. 2/12 is 1/6. Okay, so, okay, so negative. What was it? 3 over 2. And then, what did you say? Nope, negative just stays on the outside because that's what you factored out. Okay, so here's a trick. Okay, if I were to just factor, this would be 2x minus 3, 6x minus 1. Does that make sense? If I were to just factor. But if I'm going to take the extra step and I'm going to solve, technically I'm just too lazy to like do 2x minus 3 because if I have to set it equal to 0, isn't it easier then just to say x equals 1/6? Like if I wrote 6x minus 1 and then I set it equal to 0, like I'm still getting the same answer, right? I'm still going to get 1/6, but I'm going to do that much more work because I wrote it the right way when I factored it. So if they're just asking me to solve, then you don't even need to write it as like an actual correct factored form. Just take away that step to save you from this hassle. But again, if that doesn't make sense what I just said, then ignore what I just said, write it the correct way, and then you're just going to be doing a 2-step equation instead of a 1-step equation. Okay, so this set it equal to 0, I get x equals 1/6. This set it equal to 0, x equals 3 over 2. And the negative, does that like equal 0 or is that just whatever, just goes away? It does go away because there's no x on the outside, okay? And remember how I told you, I don't know, yesterday, the day before, whatever, if you want to double check your answers, I'm going to put in my calculator, the original problem, I'm going to hit graph, and I should get an answer at 1.5 and 1/6. Like you can't really tell, but maybe you can zoom in and see where your zeros are. Like it does look like it's at 1.5 and 1/6. So you can kind of estimate, yeah, I think I got it right. Okay, number 15, I'm not going to do with you, but before you solve, before you factor, what's the first thing you have to do? Yeah, like do you see how before you do anything, everything has to be in the right, like on the side, on this correct side? Okay, when I write this though, don't write 5t at the end because that's not in standard form. You would write 18 x squared minus 5x minus 2, right? You have to stick it in the center so that it's in standard form, okay? For numbers 16 and 17 here, it says, where are my answers? Well, it's here and here, but I don't know what those numbers are because it doesn't hit the corner, right? So just take this as your problem and solve it like you normally do. Pretend there's no picture, pretend there's no picture. Because you don't know what your answers are, because you don't know where it hits the corner. Like you can't read that, okay? Number 18 looks like that question on your starter. So do you see how you have like what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 questions, and we have 2 minutes left of class? This is why you don't have video notes today. This is your homework, okay? Do it during, whatchamacallit? Yeah. And how about I will put the answers on Schoology just because it's a big, I mean, and you still have to show your work, okay? So